Blue Ghost Riders, path to the stars is no longer limited to nations alone. Firefly is building the road to the next frontier, one mission and one dream at a time. Tonight, we didn't just reach another mission milestone. Together, we created
Hi, I'm Josh Keegan and welcome to Aussienaut Live. Let's go to the moon. This evening I actually have a special guest along for the ride who will help me cover the recent landings. Firefly's successful landing of the Blue Ghost and the unsuccessful landing of Intuitive Machines' IM-2 lander. All right, so I've got someone very, very special and here he is. Long-time listener and first-time caller, Jim Clelland. Welcome, mate. How are you? Sorry,
I'm fine, thank you, Josh.
I couldn't help myself on that one. Yeah, you've been a part of my my live streams for a very long time now, and I'm very, very proud to have called you one of my very first fans. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to have you along for this one. So welcome, Jim. If you'd like to take it from here and introduce yourself, please.
Okay, my name is Jim Clelland. I'm from Scotland, if you haven't guessed by the accent already. I've been interested in space and space travel probably since Apollo 17. I don't remember a great deal about it, but the one thing that I do remember really quite well after that is Skylab.
Yep.
So Skylab, all the missions on Skylab, the Apollo-Soyuz test program, and then of course we moved on to the space shuttle program, and then anything in between, whether it's been crewed or uncrewed, deep space, inner space, lunar landers, Mars landers, you name it, whatever planet. It's all really interesting. It's a fantastic subject to study and be interested in.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. Apologise. You're going to say something.
It's absolutely fine. And it was probably because of the moon landings and Skylab and the ASTP that I pestered, probably the moon landing, I pestered my mum and dad to get me a book that kind of look up A to Z of space. I don't know, you got the image there? Can you bring that up?
Hang on, just let me go and have a look. Jim actually managed to supply me with quite a few images. while we're there. So which one was it? So that's the lander.
It's a book. That's ASTP.
Ah, right.
That's a simulation of ASTP. Nice watch. Docking module, ASTP.
That's the
Lunar lander.
Yep. That's all the
And
exploration of the lunar surface.
Display. Another display from a different angle.
Lunar rover, of course.
Car, which I really want to drive.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Oh,
hey,
look
at
up
Book of Space.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's from 1972, and as you can tell, if you look at the tattered edges of it, it's been well thumbed.
Yes, so you can say that about myself as well. I've been well thumbed as well. Sorry, that's
okay.
Okay, and with that, I think I've done my last live stream.
I think maybe we can just move on from there.
Oh no. Anyway, everyone's get to see it, and you get to see it live and be a part of it, of me putting my foot actively in my mouth. So well done, congratulations. Oh, anyway, all right. So I think we'll move right along at this point and actually talk about Firefly Aerospace Systems. So Firefly Aerospace Systems actually was started and founded in 2014 under Firefly Space Systems. It aimed to create a low-cost launch vehicle. However, there was a lawsuit from Virgin Galactic in 2014, which led to the financial troubles, and the company ceased operations in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2017, the company was re-established as Firefly Aerospace with a new management system and funding. And 56 years after Neil Armstrong first stood on the moon, Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost lander successfully touched down on the lunar surface, paving the way for the future return of humans.
Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Okay, I just checked getting back up to that first step. That isn't collapsed too far, but it's adequate to get back up. Roger, we copy. It's a pretty good little jump. Buzz, this is Houston, F2, 1/160th second for shadow photography on the sequence camera. Okay. At the foot of the ladder, the LEM footbeds are only depressed in the surface about 1 or 2 inches, although the surface appears to be very, very fine-grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder. Ground mass is very fine. And now step off the lamp now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Absolutely iconic, and now, believe it or not, the human race is back on the moon, and for the returning to actually be there for good and establish base operations, providing that still occurs. Although in this political environment, who knows?
Yeah,
I thought at least 2 years ago that the future of the moon was set in stone, but with the recent events, I don't believe that it currently is. Sorry, you were going to say something?
I don't know about you, but every time I watch that, I make a kind of squeak.
Yeah, same here, same here, same here,
Yeah.
very much so. All right, so now the Blue Ghost is actually on the moon. There has been a number of different things that have been happening on the moon. So one of the first iconic things that's happened is that the Texas Tech University and Honeybee Robotics, a Blue Origin company who jointly developed Lister. Lister is the Planning Between Missions Program Office at NASA's Marshall Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, manages the development of 7 of the 10 CLPS payloads aboard Firefly's Blue Ghost lander, including this one, Lister. Lister is a NASA payload aboard Blue Ghost, aboard the Blue Ghost mission, and is drilling into the moon's lunar surface to measure the heat flow from its interior. The drill has reached a total of 3 feet deep and will go down as deep as 9 feet, pausing every half meter to measure the temperature. Lister and 10 other NASA instruments will operate on the moon for a grand total of 14 days. Oh, what did you think when you saw those first images that came out of this? The drilling on the moon. I mean, was it within hours of it landing successfully?
I mean, it was great to see the landing and the fact you could actually see the shadow as it came in. It was. I suppose I could relate it back to the Apollo 12 landing, where Pete Conrad just brought the damn thing in straight and just landed it perfectly. And then to actually watch the drill being deployed, it just looked incredible.
Yeah, it really did. So I've actually been following a few people, a few lunar scientists and things like that, and they said that the way that the surface actually exploded outwards was something they weren't quite expecting, simply because I guess when you look at drilling and drilling instruments and things like that on Earth, it doesn't actually necessarily have that high velocity or trajectory, simply because of the lower gravity, with the moon being 1/6 of Earth's gravity, that is. All right, so moving right along, let's get into the next particular part of the mission, which is the scalps, the stereo cameras for the lunar plume surface studies, or scalps. So stereo cameras for the lunar plume surface studies, scalps 1.1 instrument, took these images during the descent and successful soft landing of Blue Ghost lander on the moon's Mare Crisium region on March 2nd. Scalps 1.1 instrument has captured over 3,000 images during Blue Ghost Lunar's descent and touchdown on the lunar surface. The data will be used to understand plume surface interaction, and the reduce risk for future lunar landings. The instrument includes 6 cameras that will create 3D digital elevation maps of the surface. Oops. What have I done? Oh, there we go. I managed to get too far ahead of myself.
Never.
Oh, never. Oh, I'm all fingers and thumbs. If they only had a way to replace me, that'd be great. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of viewers as well who'd just be going, yeah, we'd appreciate that.
An AI Josh.
Yeah, AI Josh. Yeah, well, they have avatars and things like that, so we just need one of me. All right. So the final thing that's actually happening on the Blue Ghost lander as well is that this happened only in the last 24 hours, is the total lunar eclipse from the moon's lunar surface. This video was captured by Blue Ghost on the March 14, 2025, so only within the last 24 hours. Oh, amazing stuff that's actually happening.
Incredible image.
Yeah, from the moon. Lunar eclipse from the moon. So that's the for anybody who doesn't know. Jim, would you like to explain how that works? I'll put you on the spot. Do you know how it works?
Well, what happens is the Earth actually moves between the sun and the moon.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple process. You've got light source one side, thing on the other side, something else moves in between. So basically what happens is it just blocks it, the Earth blocks out the light from the sun to the moon.
Yeah, Yeah, that's
I
exactly
do.
that was exactly what was happening back there in those
Yeah.
images. So if we take another look at those images again, that just actually just shows you exactly what it can see from the surface of the moon. That's the Earth moving in front of the sun, rather than the other way around. Earth moving in front of the sun, and as viewed, not from the Earth, it's viewed from the moon. So yeah, just absolutely spectacular images that are being contained there. It's like it's just absolutely amazing exactly what's happening with this particular lander. All right, so
I do get the feeling that if there'd been astronauts on that surface when that happened, there may have been a bit of swearing.
I think so. I think so. Oh, hang on. I think there's. I'm just going to put up those images again, and we'll talk about them for a second. Just the reason why is that I'm actually getting a bit of an error message that's coming through from YouTube. So I'll just put those images up again, and you can talk amongst yourselves until I get back to you. That's very, very odd. Anyway, all right, I'll come back to Jim and myself. Apparently, it's not actually receiving enough video stream, so there you go. All right, let's just move on to the next one. I'm just going to take a second here and find out where I'm supposed to be up to. I was talking about, so there's 10 other instruments that are actually on the Blue Ghost lander, and without actually going through them, those have already been put into operation already and immediately. So just to remind everyone as well that once more that the questions and answers session is open. So if anybody wants to ask any questions, Jim and myself will be able to answer them for you. So just remember those questions and answers are open. So if you want to ask some questions about anything that's happening in this live stream, please feel free to do so. If you want to question the way I present, then also that's up for debate. And yeah, we can talk about that. We can talk about that in a little bit more detail, and then I can have someone who's been a long time fan actually prove to everyone that I've always been doing this. I'm really this bad. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you, Jim. Thanks for the vote of support there. That's awesome. And the laugh of support as well. That is really endearing. That really gets me in the heart. All right, let's move right along. Let's get into the other mission that happened which happened in the vicinity of the moon, which is the IM-2 mission. IM-2 mission, also known as Athena, aimed to collect lunar soil and detect gases for future Artemis explorers. The lander touched down 1,300 feet from its target at Mons Mouton, landing on its side and hindering operations. 3 minutes before touchdown at 17:27 UTC on March 6, Athena entered the terminal descent. A plume of lunar dust interfered with its navigation systems, obscuring laser and rangefinder readings while also disrupting radio signals. The IM-2 landed closer to the lunar south pole than any other previous lander. NASA's Prime 1 suite demonstrated its hardware range of motion, and the MOSLO detected elements are likely from the lander's propulsion. Despite not achieving all of its objectives, 250 megabytes of data were collected for NASA. NASA's laser retroreflector array remains on the lander. Intuitive Machines' IM-2 mission launched on a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket on the February 26. Intuitive Machines has 2 more missions planned for NASA, the IM-3 in 2026 and IM-4 in 2027. So believe it or not, there are 5 vendors that have been awarded 11 lunar deliveries under CLPS, the CLPS, with contracts valued up to $2.6 billion through 2028. All right, Jim, thoughts about IM-2? What do you reckon?
You would have thought, we've had this issue before, we've had a topple before. Is there any way that they could have foreseen this problem happening again? We know it was dust, the dust caused the problem, but surely we could learn from this and have learned previously from this, surely?
You would think.
Yeah.
But here we are again. So investors, in terms of investors who are making a bet on Intuitive Machines, it's just not looking that great. What's happened to you, Jim? Oh no, I've lost Jim. Oh, no. I've lost Jim. I've lost Jim. So, it's just gonna be me by myself for the moment until Jim actually manages to return. So, unfortunately I've lost Jim entirely, and hopefully he will be back again in just a couple of minutes. So just to continue on with what I was saying about the IM2. So, again, apologize for Jim disappearing in the middle of the live stream, but it looks like it's a live stream. I'm talking to the guy out of Edinburgh, and sometimes there is a break with connection, even with the stability of internet and everything at the moment. So as soon as Jim comes back, I will make sure he's re-added in, and he is actually well and truly available. So just a moment, I think I have Jim. We'll see if I can get him back. Oh, look,
Yep.
Jim, you're back! The miracle of the internet.
Lost you there, and I thought to myself, "Oh no, what have I done?" Then
I just thought that a Musk overlord might have done something about.
yeah,
let's. I know that there were a lot of fans of Elon, and I do apologise that. Speaking ill, but anyway, that's all right. That's fine. So, all right. So, I just wanted to have now that you're back and you're well and you're fine and you're still here with me on the live stream. I appreciate you coming all the way back. I know it's a long way to come since you're coming from live from Edinburgh. I wish you could kind of take the tablet to the window and just give us a weather check.
you're not going to believe it. Bright and sunny.
Oh, it's sunny. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's first.
Just a second.
Oh no, don't try it. Don't try it.
No.
If anybody who was watching along on this live stream, we're no longer doing space. We're now doing weather.
We are doing weather.
It's brought to you live by Jim.
Bright and sunny, 7 degrees and 8 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
That's a summer.
It was much cooler today, and cooler in Brisbane, Australia, in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. It was a grand total of 28 degrees. So much cooler today as opposed to the normal 32 or 33 degrees.
Not cold.
Oh, no, it's not. It's not cold, but it's not hot for us. And anything below 10 degrees, we're freezing. Anything below 20, we're freezing. Let's face it. All right. So look, I have a. He's gone again. Oh no, technical issues again. This is what happened. This is what happens when you do things live, guys. Guys or folks or anyone who's watching. Unfortunately, there are connection issues and things like that continuously happen with these sorts of things. And I just wanted to get in. I'm going to hopefully when Jim returns, I'll get back into discussing with him what I believe has happened. So if he manages to join back, then the great. But I'm just going to press on with what I believe happened with IM2. So. Basically, to give you an idea, IM2, there's two distinct different things between the landers. The one that was successful and the one that was unsuccessful. So unfortunately, at the moment, there is a difference in dimensions between the two individual landers. Hang on, just a moment. I believe Jim is back. Just let me make sure that he's back. Ooh. There we go. Oh, Jim, and you're back. Excellent. You've just joined me. Just joined me in enough time for the discussion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be a very lopsided discussion where I argue with myself and everyone gets bored and tunes out. All right. So get on with the discussion. So just have a look at the two different vehicles that you've pictured here. So we've got the BG1, the Blue Ghost 1, and the Intuitive Machines 2 lander. So the dimensions between the difference between the two of them is quite stunning. So the height of the IM2 lander is 4.3 meters high, or 14.1 feet. Diameter it's a hexagonal frame, is 1.6 meters, and it had a launch mass of 1,908 kilos, a payload capacity of 100 kilograms or 220 pounds. And the total width is only 1.57 meters or 5.15 feet. By comparison, the Blue Ghost lander which was successful, can I remind you again, that it had a height of 2 meters, or 6.6 feet. It had a width of 3.5 meters, 11.5 feet. It had a payload capacity of up to 150 kilograms or 330 pounds. That was payload direct to the lunar surface. And the design of the lander is that it's designed for stability with shock absorbing feet, low center of mass, and a wide footprint. The Blue Ghost lander actually touched down beside the moon's Le Mans lateral volcanic feature in the lunar plain called Mare Sirium. So it was actually supposed to be there for a while. Now, unfortunately, while I was actually telling you all about that, Jim has disappeared again. So it'll just be myself once more. So just between the differences between those two individual landers is quite stark to me. It just doesn't seem. It seems like one is a lot not as wide as the other. So just to give you an idea, there is a distinct difference between the two of those landers. One is much wider, whereas one is actually more top heavy. Now, I believe that the IM2, I was watching a video from Scott Manley. So if you guys want to go over and have a look at Scott Manley's assumptions and breakdown of exactly what he thinks happened with IM2, but it looks like there might have been same as before, a bit of horizontal velocity, which caused it to trip. But because the engine at the time didn't actually cut out in enough time, what happened was it then actually dragged itself along the lunar surface. Now, just by comparison between these two vehicles, they excuse me, they are very similar in size. One is distinctly wider than the other with a lower center of mass and not an arching tower. Now, the arching tower shouldn't make any much of a difference is what the professional opinion is that I've read about. However, the unfortunate thing is IM2 has failed twice. Now, just for a comparison, the Apollo lunar lander dimensions were slightly different. So it actually had a height of 7.04 meters, or in this case, length, because it was length because of the way its horizontal configuration as it was going to the moon. The payload was 4,280 kilos, or 9,430 pounds, and it had a width of 9.4 meters. So quite 31 feet. So quite a substantial difference between the new lunar landers and the previous lunar lander that everyone has been used to with the Apollo missions. Now, so for me, it seems like it wasn't. That design might need quite a bit of considerable revision, and it needs to be done quite quickly. So that way, it can be. Done quite quickly before Intuitive Machines decides to go with IM3 next year and IM4 the year after. So I'm just not sure whether or not there's any considerations to change the configuration or the design of the lunar lander just simply because it failed twice. So, and that's the downside to all of this here. All right, so Jim hasn't returned, unfortunately. So this was meant to be a bit more of a discussion, which is a bit more one way at the moment. So Jim is clearly having a few technical issues, so I'll press on and continue regardless. So if you guys have any questions or answers, or you guys want to make a comment, anybody would like to make a comment on the lunar landings and what your thoughts are about what happened and what might be the outcome, or whether or not you think a design is possible, just remember the Q&A is still open. Jim's not there. It's just me, a blank on one side. So if you want to come along and ask a question, I will try and answer it live on air for you as clearly as I can. All right. Now, hang on. Wait. Is there... Oh, there's Life. He's back. Oh, geez. This has been interesting. You come and you go.
It has been interesting, eh?
Every time I muck up is a time for you to move on.
I've been for breakfast. I've been out for a walk. I've been,
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I don't know if you were following along on the stream at any point.
I could see it all.
In and out. Yes. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts on the design, overall design? Just between the two different designs of the two individual landers.
Yeah, you've frozen again.
I have. You've gone. Okay, Jim's gone again. Okay, apparently he is not having. Oh, hang on. I just need to make an adjustment on his so that way he is should that way that might make a change. I'm just making changes on the fly here so Jim can rejoin. Yeah, and as I was saying, hopefully. I think like when Jim comes back that he will be able to add his 2 cents worth. So I'm just going to move right along and get to the next portion of this. So just to let you know that even though the IM2 failed and it will subsequently run out of battery, it's sitting in a crater, and unfortunately its solar panels will not get a sufficient amount of light for it to continue the mission. So unfortunately, it is actually it's on the surface, but it's not in the right orientation to take advantage of any scientific payloads that it might have. So, just in 2025 is the time for lunar landings and lunar rovers going to the moon. The next one is iSpace, and iSpace is completely different. Again, iSpace is sending out its own Resilience and Tenacious rover. The Hokkaido R Mission 2, also known as Resilience, is a lunar landing mission that launched on January 15, 2025. It is expected to reach the moon between May and June 2025 after a a 4 to 5 month low energy trajectory. Always mess that up. The mission will land in the Frigorius region and deploy a rover named Tenacious. The lander for Mission 2 is an updated version of Hokkaido R Series 1 lander used in Mission 1. It has a launch mass of 1,000 kilos, a dry mass of 340 kilos, and a height of 2.3 meters. The lander is powered by solar panels and a lithium-ion battery, and it communicates via X-band. The Tenacious rover is 5 kilos, is made of carbon fiber reinforced plastics. It has a HD camera and shovel for collecting lunar samples, and it will communicate with the ground through the actual lander. And this, believe it or not, is a picture of from the Resilience lander as it was going through. Doing its pass by the moon. So this is actually a real image that was taken from the Resilience craft. All right, Jim's back with us again.
Hello.
Hello. Hopefully you don't disappear this time. But we're talking again. We'll come back once more to repeat once more. I'm not going to change screens anymore. You seem to just disappear for some reason.
This is going so well.
I know,
yeah.
right?
So, back to one of your previous questions.
Yes.
My first thought was the height of both landers. Obviously, they are scientists that have taken into account the lunar gravity. So when the thing touches down, where's the centre of gravity? Are we going to get it to topple one way or the other? Because certainly if you're looking at Blue Ghost, that's one chunky beast. When that landed, it's squat, it's wide, it's capable of doing it. Anything tall, slightest bit of movement one way or the other, thing could fall over. Was that an idea?
Yeah, that's exactly the idea, because what I was going to say about all this is even though it had a low center of gravity and it had wide landing legs, the momentum that would remain through the upper portion of the actual lander would still be there. So that's the moment of inertia would still remain through, even though it's pivoted and it's coming down. If there's any horizontal movement, despite the center of mass being there is a moment of inertia that would be higher actually on the lander, would cause it to topple over. The other thing is that, believe it or not, I believe now Intuitive Machines hasn't actually given us a very clear reason as to why it might have happened this way. But yeah, or what happened. But it's believed at the moment. Now, again, I'll point back to Scott Manley and his band of merry men, and lady folk as well, of people folk rather than lady folk. They have gone through and analysed everything, and it seems like the lander, its engines didn't quite shut off.
And again.
Again. Well, at least I know it's going to happen before it actually happens. So I'm just going to press on again, regardless. So yeah, so just to finish that thought. Yeah. So if you want to have a look at Scott Manley's video on the IM2 lander and what might have happened with that, please feel free to do so. You'll find out a lot more information and certainly a lot of speculation about what happened with the IM2 lander. I just really hope that there's still enough time left at the moment for them before their next launch for them to actually possibly look at reviewing the design or potentially making it wider or something. I'm just not quite sure. I know it needs to fit within the top of the rocket in terms of the I can't even remember what it's called. The top of the rocket. So I know it, and within the nose cone of the rocket. There you go, nose cone. So I know that it needs to fit within there, but however, I believe it needs to be wider. Just because of the designs, the differences between the two is simply one is a very squat looking one, and one is a very tall tower. And I'm not sure if that made any difference, but for me, in particular, I believe that's what might have helped to contribute. It may not have been the sole reason, but may have helped to contribute. But also, the engine didn't quite shut off at the moment that it was supposed to, and that might have actually caused it to drag along the lunar surface. So that's where we're up to at the moment with that one. Well, that's where I'm up to with my speculation, I guess. All right, coming right back. No questions and answers yet. So, guys, if you want to ask any questions, it's just solo Mio for the moment, and hopefully Jim Clelland will come back at some point. But I thought I would give you just a little bit of interesting Australian space news.
In a room just around the corner from where I'm sitting in Varda's El Segundo headquarters, Varda's mission operators spent 3 days last week working with our partners to deorbit and re-enter the W2 capsule, which spent a little more than 6 weeks in orbit before returning to Earth and landing in South Australia. I'm Mook Pandian, Director of Strategic Partnering and Advanced Concepts here at Varda Space Industries. W2's re-entry was a big moment for us and for the space industry. So we documented the people and processes involved in making it happen. And over the next half hour, we'll show you how it worked. This was a meaningful event for us, not only because W2 is Varda's second successful mission, but we also made history. W2 was the first commercial spacecraft to land in Australia. The capsule carried several payloads on board. Over the course of about 80 hours, Varda and Rocket Lab mission operators worked together to position the W2 spacecraft in orbit to get it to the exact place it needs to be for a successful re-entry. After a few burns to get the capsule where it needed to be, it was ultimately released and then recovered from the outback the next day. During this process, we received regular updates from our partners around the world, including from Rocket Lab, the developers of the Pioneer satellite bus that supported the W2 capsule in orbit in Long Beach, California, and Auckland, New Zealand. And we also documented the recovery of the capsule on the ground with our re-entry range operators at Southern Launch in Sedona, Australia at the Kaniba test range. This story starts with the team at Rocket Lab.
Okay, and that's more than enough. I'm not going to go through the entire half-hour video for that one. So just to let you know, that South Australia actually achieved a space industry milestone with the first commercial spacecraft re-entry of Varda Space Industries capsule at the Southern Launch Kundaba test range. This marks the first time the commercial payload has actually returned to Australian soil from orbit on a commercial site, and is one of the first globally, making South Australia the national centre for the full spaceflight ecosystem. Varda Space, a pioneer in orbital manufacturing, launched the W2 capsule on the 14th of January 2025, and spent 45 days orbiting the Earth before re-entering and landing on the 28th of February. The re-entry is still the result of a significant year-long efforts by the Austrade and the South Australian government, including the treaty-level Australia-US Technology Safeguards Agreement, which enabled the Varda and pharmaceutical supply chains to function off-planet. So if we all remember a little bit earlier, that was last year, Varda, the W1, that was the first initial vehicle, spent a lot of time off-planet. The reason why it launched, and I think it was about 5 or 6 months, maybe even 9 months before it actually was successfully able to return to Earth. What happened in that particular instance was Varda Space couldn't get re-entry permission and had to land on military grounds in the United States. So if anybody has anything to do with the military and trying to return something to military grounds, yes, you're trying to return there, you need special permission, and it takes a while for them to actually grant that permission. By comparison, the Kunaba test range, and I've explained this to you guys before, I have been out there. I've actually live streamed the high impulse launch which is essentially the Nullarbor plane, and that from their test range, they have hundreds of thousands of square kilometers out there that they could possibly have to return a vehicle from orbit, and Varda Space has been able to do that. All right, so this brings us towards the end of this. I was going to have a bit more of a discussion with Jim. Jim seems to have disappeared. I'm just not sure if he's coming back or if that's the end of Jim. I just wanted to say thank you very much to Jim for joining me for the time that you were here. It was interesting. I'm just not sure what happened with him in the end. Obviously, he had some technical issues. So hopefully, Jim, you were able to return to us again and join me for another live stream in the future. If you want any more information about Jim and what he does, he's Urban Spaceman 69 on all of social media. So if you want to go and find him, he's on all social media. He's a really great guy. He follows my live streams and has been doing ever since I was first doing these live streams. Way back when I was doing the Space Down Under, which is now Aussienaut. So look, all of his social media is there. So drop him a like, reach out and say hello. Offer him some technical advice if you're in Edinburgh about how to fix his internet, so he's not going in and out like that. We despite all the testing that we did, we never encountered this problem. And that's okay. Well, I suppose that's what these live streams are all about. So guys, people, my space fam, if you liked this live stream, and you know what to do, you need to like, share, subscribe, and feel free to reach out and offer support. Oh, hang on, what happened there? Oh no. Oh I've forgotten to do something. The end of the live stream, so that's all right. So that works out really, really well. So yeah, so if feel free to share, subscribe, and feel free to reach out and support either via Patreon or patreon.com/Aussienaut, or if you want to reach out a different way and offer your support, you can go along and buy my merch at aussienaut.store. Please feel free to go and do that. But look, I just wanted to say that once more, thank Jim for taking the time to come along to this with me, to be part of this. I really do appreciate him taking the time, even though he was experiencing quite a number of technical issues. So look, I really appreciate you guys coming along to this to actually be part of this experience, to see this. And look, guys know what to do. So thanks very much once again. And remember, as always, stay caffeinated.